All right, welcome in. It's Tuesday. That means it's $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk. The three people you see on the screen right here will have plays up for $5 as well as the rest of the site across all sports, baseball, the the hockey playoffs. We were just talking about that back here backstage, the NBA going on. So a lot going on right now, and everything will be $5 on the site, $5 Tuesday. Let's get right into it. I'll go to Tokyo Brandon first. On Friday, we did a show together, and I found myself gravitating towards series bets, which is something I never do. And this is the perfect example of why I will never make a series bet. Played out in the Tigers Reds series, where the Tigers on Friday, they look like they're going to win the game, and then they get walked off. And I think I said to you, Tokyo Brandon, on our show on Saturday, yeah, I kind of want to change my mind here. I really don't want any part of the Tigers having to win now on Saturday after losing in that fashion. Sure enough, they lose Saturday, they win on Sunday. So the Tigers, I think, effectively blew the series play by getting walked off on Friday night. That being said, they did get the win on Sunday, and they bring a little bit of momentum here on the road to take on what the three of us have called, the best tier, one of the best teams in base, maybe the best team other than the Dodgers at this point, I think we can all say, is the Atlanta Braves. So national TV here in the States tonight, Tokyo Brandon. Tigers, Braves. How do you see this one?
Yeah, interesting day yesterday. I would have been 3-0 if the Cubs hadn't thrown out a guy with a 7+ ERA and a 2.8 WHIP to hold down a close game. What were they doing putting that guy in the game? Holy cow.
Yeah. Same here.
Talk about throwing a game down the toilet when you could have won it. Jeez. But anyway, so I'll be interested to hear what Bryan has to say about this as well. But when a team loses a game like the Tigers did that day, or like the Marlins did yesterday, do you think they come back and, give it their all? Or do you think it even kicks them in the gut even more the next day? So it'll be interesting to hear what you guys think about that. Me personally, I think it's hard to recover from something like that, especially when you are the inferior team. If you're the favored team, like if that had happened to the Dodgers, I think it has less effect. But when it happens to a team that's climbing, it really has a big effect, I think. So regarding the Tigers today, I got Atlanta better at almost everything, but just barely. And then, Tigers playing pretty good ball. They're only a couple points behind Atlanta in the batting and like about 6 ranks behind them in bullpen, as far as my rankings are concerned in current form. And then you take a look at the starting pitchers. Casey Mize on a curve at 30, I got him 9. So he's in the upper 1/3 of starting pitchers according to my rankings. And Martin Perez he's a gamer, man. This guy, I didn't think he belonged in Major League Baseball, getting cut by AAA teams and stuff. But he came out and he was dealing a couple starts here. I don't know if it's going to last here, though. I think the Tigers can get to him. Whether that's enough to win the game or not, I'm not sure. I don't think I would bet the Tigers in this situation. But I do not trust Martin Perez enough to take the Braves, even though I have them ranked higher at everything else besides starting pitching. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, let's get Bryan in here. I'll just answer your sort of general point, and then we'll go to Bryan. I do think context matters. I think, it's always going to be a case-by-case basis. I think if you're the Tigers, it's not how you wanted to start a road trip. Giving up 4, going back and taking the lead, looking like you have the game won, and then losing on the walk-off. Certainly not how you want to start a road trip. But Bryan Leonard, they did, to the Tigers' credit, they didn't let it spiral to the point where they got swept. They bounced back on Sunday. They get the 8-3 win. Now they have a day off. So I don't think they're being affected by that at this point, but they still have to win a game on the road in Atlanta against a very good Braves team. Do you think they have it in them tonight?
Yeah, the day off clears up a lot of the situations that they've had before that. So I don't think that's going to have any effect on it. When I'm looking to play the Tigers, I'm looking to fade them versus lefties. And Martin Perez, if you watched the videos, you know that I've been betting on it, and it's been working. The Tigers, anytime they face a lefty, and this is not one of the better lineups in baseball, but when they face a lefty, Colt Keith, their number 3 hitter, sits out. Kerry Carpenter, their number 6 guy, sits out, and Wencel Perez usually sits out in that regard. Now, Jamal Jones is a really good hitter versus lefties, and he's done that well in his career, and he's been pretty good lately. But other than him, I don't like the changes that they have to make when they face a lefty. Now, granted, Perez will probably only be in for 5 innings, so they'll switch it up, and you'll see those left-handed batters coming off the bench later on in the game. But you're also coming in cold. And so that's something that I really don't like when I'm looking to back Detroit. The bullpen is in pretty good shape. They haven't had a save opportunity since Friday, and that was the blown save by Jensen. All 3 of them, the back 3 guys, none of them looked good in that one. So I don't want Detroit against the lefty. And if you're looking at the Atlanta team, and right now you really have to give them credit for as hot as they've been. Here's your lineup for your first 5 guys in the order based on the last 7 days. This is in baseball. We got Acuna 107th in hitting, Baldwin 57th, Olsen 17th, Albies 15th, and Michael Harris 3rd. That'll be your first inning here against the Detroit pitching staff. Maybe we get a yes in the first inning there. I think Atlanta gets off to a quick start in this game, and I prefer Atlanta. This price range, considering the way that the Braves have played all season long, is it just me, or is this line very cheap for Atlanta being at home? They're in the 118 to 125 range. I'd prefer the lefty Perez here against Myers.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, I think the line is fair. It's right around where I make it, but to your point, like, why are the Braves not being shaded more at this point, right? Like, why are you still getting a fair price to bet the Braves? It almost seems like at this point you should be paying a premium to back them. So I think that's a very good point. It's a fair price to, like, I'm going to need a really good reason to bet against the Braves at this point, a real good reason. And I can't find one in this game with the Tigers. And then you made the point, Brian, like, they've had this issue against left-handed pitching for a couple seasons now. Mm-hmm. They really just are not, their lineup is just not optimized against the lefty. So now you put that check mark against them. Again, I'm going to need a good reason to fade this Braves team, and I'm not really seeing one here. And then to your point, Brian, if you like the Braves, you are getting them at a playable number. Again, I was surprised to not see this shaded more. I see it maybe going that way. But before I got on the show, I think you could have still gotten maybe a minus 120. I don't have the screen up in my current setup right now. But the point is, it's a fair number on the Braves if you like the Braves.
The book thinks that the reason that not to bet the Braves is Martin Perez, but Brian disagrees. So that's the case. They do not trust him at all. The numbers show it.
It wouldn't be a bad thing. We rarely talk about something about like we'll score first. I think that's another way to play it because a lefty against its Detroit lineup I don't like, and then as hot as the Braves have been, just many ways to play this one. But yeah, it's either Atlanta or nothing for me.
I guess I don't understand the Martin Perez hate here. I mean, he's been pretty solid like the last 3 seasons, pretty much across the board. He's had injuries. He hasn't pitched a ton. But when he's been out there the last 3 years, he's been good. You know, he really had a bad year. I guess beginning of 2024 with the Pirates was bad. As soon as he ended up in San Diego, and then last year with the White Sox, and this year so far with the Braves, he's been very solid. So, yeah, that'll be the national TV game. Probably not one I'm going to get to the window with, but it was a good discussion. Tokyo Brandon, you started it, so we're going to vent right now. I ended up with a 5%er yesterday on the Cubs. It wasn't going to be a 5%er. I typically don't love to play them when I'm losing a little bit, but I could not pass up the Cubs, in that spot with the Padres coming off of double altitude. You never see that at the big league level. They had to go to Denver, play in altitude, go to Mexico, play in more altitude. Bryan has made this point so far where it's like the Dodgers, every time they leave Coors Field, they don't play particularly well. So I was with you. I saw this great spot where it's like, okay, the Padres have been in altitude all week. They have to come back home. They have Randy Vasquez is on the mound with an expected ERA in the mid fours. He's probably going to give up some runs. He does. He gives up 5 runs. The Cubs take a 5-3 lead. Our undoing is what's going to be the Cubs' undoing at this point. They might set a record for the number of pitchers they send to the IL this year if they continue at the current rate. But even with that being said, the reason I was comfortable with a big play, I kind of knew I was getting Ben Brown behind Matthew Boyd. That was a setup that I liked, and it just didn't work out. The reason I got it out there. We had our little venting session. You already pointed to the fact that they were in a high leverage spot and had a guy that probably shouldn't have been in the game. But I'll throw this back to you. Who else? What do you put in the game there? They just don't have anyone. I like the Cubs again here, but that is my issue. Their bullpen is just a disaster right now. Can they overcome that? And now what's game 2 of this series?
Yeah, Ben Brown, in my opinion, wasn't the problem. It was putting Matone in was the problem. That guy had a 7+ ERA and a 2.8 WHIP, and you put him in a high leverage situation. His ERA is now 14. And I mean, I honestly think the coach, the managers for the Cubs didn't care to win the game or not. I mean, the Boyd was shot in the 4th inning. They should have taken him out. They let him go in the 6th. I mean, that was just horrible management. Either they didn't care to win the game or they're just stupid, but that was lost by the coaches, in my opinion. Cubs fought back and then they gave it right back. And it is just one of those games. The Padres should have been flat yesterday coming back home from Mexico. It's a pitcher's park and you let them score 8 runs. That's ridiculous. I mean, just horrible playing by the Cubs. They should be able to bounce back I've got them ranked higher than San Diego in every category here, including starting pitcher, because Walker Buehler has been awful. So should bounce back. I did cash my free play last night. The Cubs team total was only 3.5 yesterday, which I thought was kind of odd. So I did win that, but man, that was just some horrible managerial decisions. But like you said, I mean, they're decimated in that area, but they could have found someone better than a guy with a 2.8 WHIP, in my opinion.
Yeah. So Brian, I want to point out a couple of things. So G Hurt says, can't understand why they didn't challenge it. Well, they were out of challenges. The Cubs may have lost that game on poor use of their challenges. Matthew Boyd challenged a pitch in the first batter of the game that was not close. It was almost like he did it on accident because he instantly was like, oh, my bad. And then Ballesteros challenged a pitch in the 3rd inning that also wasn't close and wasn't in a high leverage situation. So yes, Ben Brown makes a great pitch that was entirely in the zone. Ump should not have missed the call, but they had no challenges left, so they couldn't challenge it. TB, you're referring to Craig Counsell falling asleep at the wheel. Matthew Boyd should never have gone out for the 5th inning to face Manny Machado after he gave up 2 hits.
Absolutely
think he forgot.
Not.
It should have been Ben Brown to start that inning. So he leaves Boyd out there. The point I'm trying to make, I didn't come on here just to vent Bryan Leonard. I know I like to do that sometimes when I lose a big bet when I had a multi-run lead, probably the 4th time it's happened to me in the last week. But the point is the Cubs made a lot of mistakes last night. And they're not mistakes that show up in as an error on the stat sheet. Mismanaging challenges, a coaching mistake by Counsell. And then, so to TV, to answer your question, they backed themselves into a little bit of a corner with Matan. I don't know that they had a real better option. Brian, is that the issue here? I like Cabrera. I like the spot for the Cubs. Where do they go after him here?
Well, to join in the trio here, that was my only loser last night. I had the San Diego team total under, and they scored 3 runs in the 1st inning. So that was pretty much over and done with early. But I disagree on Phil Maton. Phil Maton is one of the best setup men in baseball. Now, he's not a closer, but he's a very good setup man. The problem I had is he just came off the IL, and they threw him in a high-pressure situation through 28 pitches. That's my complaint. I have no problem putting Phil Maton out there. He's on the team for a reason. There's a lot of reasons why the other teams always want Phil Maton on their team. He's a good pitcher, and I don't care what the short-term numbers are. A lot of times you're pitching and you're hurt, and you go on the IL, and you get early in the season, you've got those kind of numbers. So I firmly disagree about Phil Maton. But they don't have a lot of guys in the back of the bullpen right now, and they've got some guys in the minors that keep talking about bring them up. They need the arms. They've already got a lot of people in the starting lineup. Colin Ray has always been a fill-in no matter where he's been. Jameson Taillon is at the end of his career. They need some pitching, and if Imanaga isn't on, that hurts him because he's their best pitcher in the rotation. Matthew Boyd, I like Matthew Boyd, but he's very inconsistent. And coming back from injuries, he's had a lot of injuries in his career, so you really don't know what you're going to get when he gets on the mound. But I agree. I prefer the Cubs in this one. San Diego was one I had wrong yesterday, the only one I had wrong. But I would play that again. It's one of those things that show me a team that played in Colorado and Mexico. Now they're coming into San Diego, and they're playing a home game, and to score all those runs. I don't think that continues tonight. I think Cabrera shuts them down a little bit. And Walker Buehler, another one of those guys coming back from injury that has been very inconsistent so far. I don't really want any part of him. It's the Cubs or nothing for me in this one.
Yeah, I'm super tempted to just come back with the Cubs here. Listen, the bullpen is what it is. It's been an issue for a while. They've got guys out. Like Brian said, they do have, I think they called up Corbin Martin. He's now on the IL. They're going to have to work around that. But you look at the Cubs right now, the things I like about the Cubs, their lineup 1 through 9 is outstanding. I mean, you look at this lineup, and it's basically like there is no 7 through 9. All of these guys could hit 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the lineup. It's like right now, your 7 through 9 is Matt Shaw, Dansby Swanson, Pete Crow Armstrong. If Pete Crow Armstrong was what he, we've known him to be to this point, he's probably hitting 5th, 3rd, up in the order. So, the Cubs are, and yesterday they had great at bats. I mean, they probably had 4 outs off Vasquez where they hit the ball 100+ miles an hour. Laureano made a really good play in the first inning. There was one that was an absolute bullet at the first baseman. So I do think it's fair to say that the Cubs, and then of course the big spot of the game when they're sitting there 5-4 and they can get out of an inning, they don't have a challenge. I do think they were a little bit unlucky yesterday. I also like Cabrera. I may be on the Cubs. That might be my parlay league. I do think they bounce back here, and maybe to the point of hey, traveling, coming back from altitude. Listen, the Padres had to go. That was not an easy win in the end. The Cubs they loaded the bases, no outs. Mason Miller's not pitching tonight after that. I mean, he threw a ton of pitches last night to get out of that inning. Well, again, that was the point. He pitched on Saturday, and he pitched twice in altitude last week, and then he had to go and work hard against the Cubs to get through an inning that probably should have been a cleaner inning. I don't think you see him tonight. Again, might be a little stubborn, but I feel like I have to come back with the Cubs here. That is that's going to be my parlay leg. Might be a client play too. I'm going to play the Cubs. That'll be my leg of the parlay.
Not only is Miller likely not to pitch, but neither is Morion and Adam, as they pitched through the last 3, and especially Morion. He threw 27 pitches yesterday and 29 on Saturday. So
their
best guys will not be available tonight, and if they are, they're going to be running on gas.
Yeah. They did ask, more, because that's the thing. Vasquez didn't pitch well, kind of what I expected, and they had to go to Morion earlier than I think they would have liked to. You're right. They did stretch out. Adam worked more than an inning as well. So yeah, that is a great point, Brian. I think the Cubbies are the play, and Jose Perez makes a point here. He's like, hey, if you don't want to deal with the Cubs back end of the bullpen in the later innings, maybe first 5 is a play. I would agree with that as well. All right, let's continue on. We got a Dave Koken shout out in the chat. There goes those Red Sox again. 3rd win, 2nd one since the managerial change, convincing one. They knock off Dylan Cease. Tokyo Brandon, I know you, hey, listen, you were right about, when you said it was going to get worse for the Red Sox, I think you kind of nailed that. I don't think anyone at the point in the year where you made that statement thought that the Red Sox were going to fire their entire coaching staff. So you were right about that. But now you have to regroup and look at it. They made the changes. They're 2-0. Are you a believer in this Red Sox momentum that they've got going now?
Well, yeah, it's $5 Tuesday, guys, and we're all going to have something up for either $5. Everything on WagerTalk.com is $5 or free. So go there and have a bonanza. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice on Tuesdays. Talk about the Red Sox. Yeah, you're right. I was right at the time, but yeah, they've kind of bounced back a little bit, and they're putting runs on the board, which they weren't doing earlier. So I still have their lineup ranked 18 out of 30 in current form, but I got Toronto's 14 out of 30. So bullpen's even at 6 out of 30. So might look at it under in this one, but as you guys know, and I always say in every show, I don't like X factors, and your Savage back is, to me, is an X factor. I don't like to put money on guys who are making their first start of the season, because admittedly last season his first start was good, but I don't know what to expect from him, to be honest. And Toll looked great in his starts so far this season. Yeah, I mean, yeah, with the momentum, you could say maybe the Red Sox here, but I'm definitely not betting it, because it's just, Savage is too big of an X factor for me. So what do you guys expect from him?
Brian, I will say this, and I'll throw this to you. Savage did not look good in his rehab outings, and they had him down there for a while. Like, I think he maxed out on the time you could have him down there for rehab. He made starts at the lower levels. He made starts for Buffalo. He has not looked good, and I just think that. But who else are the Blue Jays throwing out there right now? It's almost like, hey, like you've had your time. We need you back. So does that sort of creep into your handicap here for this one?
Yeah, I believe it does. And a lot of people saw him in the playoffs and how great he could be. But I don't know if I want to go with him here against Boston. Peyton Tolley is a guy who everybody's been excited about getting up into the rotation, and he's a guy that I think has got a really bright future. We talked about this before the season started, that 2 of the best Red Sox starters didn't even make the opening day roster. Brian Bale, have we seen the last of Brian Bale? Could be. I don't know. They haven't talked about it, but I can't believe they continued to bring him up there and let him get pounded. If the Red Sox are serious contenders, they need to find somebody to replace him, put him in the bullpen, do something with him, because he's not cutting it as a starter. I think the future is bright if they're healthy for both of these young pitchers. The total is only 7.5, which is kind of low for Toronto. That's overall, it's a pretty good hitter's ballpark, and Boston is hitting pretty well right now. It would not surprise me at all if at least one of these guys isn't really on in this game, and we could play the over 7.5, because despite what Boston has done offensively this year, and Toronto's had a lot of injuries, these are 2 of the best hitting teams in baseball at the end of the season. And to get a 7.5 here with 2 guys that are not major pieces right now in in the starting rotation. I kind of like the over in this one. It's 7.5. There is a couple of 8s out there to the under, but if I had to play it, I think it would be a higher scoring game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, one of probably the most frustrating thing when you've lost a couple in a row like I have is when like all the other stuff you come on these shows and talk about is winning. Like that doesn't really get more frustrating that when, you got the right thought process, but you're landing on the wrong ones. Of course, the Red Sox is one I talked about yesterday. They win as an underdog. I'll be honest, if I had the wherewithal to have come out on Sunday and played the Red Sox, I would have played them yesterday and I would still be playing them here. I definitely think there's something to the shakeup like that. And, I also was listening to, just some Red Sox radio, and it does feel like there was definitely a divide, which was why all the coaches got fired. It was almost like you had front office against coaching staff, and Craig Breslow wasn't going to fire himself. So he had to fire everyone that was, kind of anti what they're trying to do. And again, I guess that could go one of two ways, but it certainly feels like in this case that the shakeup is at least helping in the short term. I also think there's just something to listen, like still a pretty good team. And you've got, you had guys like Garrett Crochet massively underachieving and then just catching teams at the right time. Like, the Blue Jays we've talked about, they've had issues. They have pitching depth issues, and now one of those is going to be on display again here because I think if things were if the Blue Jays were in a better sort of shape in the pitching department right now, Savage would probably be like a long reliever until he was like fully acclimated. Maybe he'd be an opener. Maybe he'd come in for an inning or two. And then he would, Cody Ponce would be behind him or something like that. They wouldn't have to just thrust him into the starting rotation, but they're going to. And I've watched all of his starts at Buffalo. None of them have been great. So I don't understand how all of a sudden he's just going to come in here and give them 5 or 6 really good innings. Totally can give you 5 or 6 really good innings. He did it to the Yankees last week. And, that was as impressive of a outing as we've seen against the Yankees over the last couple weeks. Yankees are having as good of at-bats as any team in the league, totally 11 strikeouts. And they were battles. Like, he had to battle in that game, make pitches on 3-2. Super impressed with him. So I could only be on the Red Sox again here. And like our pal Dave Koken would have done, he'd be playing it until they lost. So if you've played them the last 2 days, I think you're just rolling with house money at this point, and you're backing them until they lose one. Yeah, I mean, listen, Vinny, like it's almost like if you bet AAA the way I bet AAA, you follow the rehab starts because a lot of these major league rehab typically occurs at the AAA level, unless guys are really far away, where it's like they've got a long road back. Usually the tune-ups occur at AAA. So that is, I can almost always give you context on a guy that's been rehabbed. Did not mean to bring up that paragraph. That looks like a bot. So I'm not going to read that one off the screen. Real quick before we move on, Slick Vic says totally isn't your average rookie. That is a big arm. Yeah, you're right about that. And he had the benefit of coming up last year, failing a little bit, was on the postseason roster, pitched an inning against the Yankees. He's a guy I like this year, just in general. I think he's going to have a good season for the Red Sox. All right, let's go to the people want to talk about the Orioles. For whatever reason, that wasn't the game I expected. Everyone, there's a lot of people that want to talk about Orioles baseball today, and I find this game quite interesting. So, Bryan Leonard, I'm going to go back to you, and then we'll go to TV. We've got Highway Tang sighting here in this game. The Astros are just going to throw anyone and everyone that has an arm out there at this point. Of course, he came from the Giants organization, sort of played his way up, and was in the bullpen for the Astros. Now he's a starter because they have no one else. But I haven't been impressed with Shane Baz at all, and I think he's having some issues with the new pitching staff and the coaches he's working with. So Astros, Orioles, who do you got here?
Here's your current starting pitching staff for the Houston Astros. Mike Burrows, Spencer Arrighetti, Tang, Lambert, and McCullers. Other than Burrows and maybe Arrighetti, has anybody expected any of these guys to be in the starting rotation? McCullers is always a guy who's always hurt, but so you'll get your 5 starts out of him every year. But yeah, Houston's got some pitching problems at this point. At least the bullpen looks like it's pretty cleared up. De Los Santos has been the guy who has been the fourth guy that's been the closer now for them. And he's only pitched once in the last 5 days. Brian King, another guy that could become the closer and may get some spots. He hasn't pitched in a while, so only once in the last 5 days. So their bullpen is in pretty good shape. So I don't expect Tang to go long in this game. I think it'll be a bullpen game for Houston. So keep that in mind here. And from a hitting standpoint, half of the Houston lineup is hitting well. The other half, like right now, Altuve is 318 in the last week. Cam Smith, 371. Dustin Harris, 386. 333 for Daniel Johnson. So the offense is not very good right now for Houston compared to earlier in the season, and I don't want their pitching. The problem is with Baltimore is I'm not sure I want that either. This is a team that, as you mentioned, Shane Baz he's not as good as he was expected to be. He fell apart late against Cleveland. They have to keep these guys in the game a little bit longer because their bullpens haven't been that great. Baltimore did have yesterday off, didn't have to use them. And but you got Heisley, who's blown three saves lately in the last week or two. So I'm worried about this Baltimore pitching staff at this point. So if I play anything in this one, it may be the over. But when you're looking at the Baltimore hitters, Ward's hot. Adley Rutschman's been great. He's number 5 in the last week. Basallo, that guy can really hit when they give him a chance. So, and Kobe Mayo's actually hitting well, something we probably didn't expect to happen. So I'm a little bit torn in this one. The line on the game is basically Baz is about a 135, 140 favorite against Tang. I'm not sure I want Tang, but I really don't want to lay that number with Shane Baz. So it's underdog or nothing, and chances are it's nothing for me.
Yeah, TB, Shane Baz is a guy that spent a long time in the same organization. He came up with, the Rays. He was in – feel like he was up and down with the Rays for 3 or 4 years. Actually remember getting to see him pitch at Durham, a game I was at back in 2021, before he came up and really sort of broke out. And then he just kind of was there. He always had this big upside. Something I've kind of heard is that he's not really feeling like the way, I think they have him throwing his cutter more, and it's just not really, that's not something you want to hear. Guy goes to a new place and suddenly he's not on the same page with some of the pitching coaches. And now he's having some negative results because of that. That's a fade for me. But can you get to the window with the Astros is the question.
No, put simply. I don't think I'm not a fan of Baz, but I would take him over the alternative in this case. And I'm not a fan of Houston's bullpen. I am a fan of Baltimore's bullpen. And I like how Baltimore's hitting right now. I would take the Orioles here with a little bit of confidence. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make it my parlay leg, taking the Orioles on the money line here, minus 140. I think Baz can handle it. Looking at his career numbers against Houston, his OPS is 773 against the batters he's facing today. Not bad, not great. But Tang might have good stuff, but I doubt he's going to last more than 4 innings. Maybe you see him going 5 or 6 innings. I don't. And to me, that Houston bullpen, oh my goodness. Katie bar the door. I think the Orioles will be able to put up some serious runs here in this game. Whether Baz can hold the other side under how many they put up is the question here. But I think the Orioles can score quite a lot today.
To your point, TB, no, I don't think Kai Tang is going to go super deep into this game. He's been pitching out of the bullpen. So this is not a scenario where like he's been down starting games at AAA. He's been coming out of the bullpen all year. I think his longest outing was 2 2/3 against the Guardians a couple weeks ago. So what I think you're going to see here from Kai Tang is once through the order and then play it by ear. They're going to let him go once through, see how it goes, and then they're going to try to see how many outs they can steal before they take him out. So I think that's probably I think you're looking at a best case scenario, maybe like 3 to 4 innings. That being said, like I think his innings will probably be pretty good. Like he's throwing the ball well out of the bullpen. I don't see why he can't come out and have a couple of good innings. So I wouldn't. So the reason I bring that up is some people are asking first 5. I think if you like the Orioles, you take the full game. Because you want those at-bats against the Houston bullpen. And the Orioles didn't really use much pen. Saturday, they lost like 100-1, right? Like the 17-1 game. And then they were behind most of the day Sunday, get the day off on Monday. And to the Orioles' credit, even though I don't think they're going to keep it up, their bullpen has been much better than expected so far this year. They've kind of had a couple guys step up. Anthony Nunez has been really good. So they have had some other guys that maybe weren't the main guys that people thought were going to be their bullpen step up and pitch well to this point. And they may have the later inning edge in this game. I don't know if I could lay that price with the Orioles, but that's an interesting one. Tough to like go against you there, knowing that Tang is probably only going 3 or 4 innings. All right, Bryan Leonard, I'm going to you. TB and I have already revealed our parlay legs. Do you have your leg of the parlay? And is it a game we've talked about yet or not?
Yes, it is. I'll go with Martin Perez, the lefty, against Detroit with Mize. Very simple that I trust Perez, a lefty, against this Detroit lineup. They're going to miss 3 of their top batters, including big power guys. That is always a concern. And the way Atlanta's hitting right now, I don't want to stand in the way of that. I do want to point out Ohtani's going for the Dodgers today. He will be just pitching, no DH in this game. So you're losing the bat of Ohtani, which has some effect on this game. But it also gives it another chance for the backup catcher to DH, and he's been hot as hell. So I don't know if if rushing.
Let's stay on that one for a second.
Okay.
So knowing Ohtani's not going to be in the lineup for the Dodgers tonight, can you find a way into that game? Can you find a way to sort of spin that with something actionable?
Well, rushing will be in the lineup. So Ohtani's, believe it or not, is not having a typical hitting season for himself. I think you can see that coming when he was off last year from pitching, and now he's back, and he does his quotes wanting to win the Cy Young, that kind of thing. So it just shows the superhuman strength of Ohtani still struggles when he's got to do 2 different things. And that's the reason why there's so many pitchers in baseball, and there's many of them that can hit like Ohtani. So he's just a superhuman guy. But Miami, the way they lost last night is a concern. Junk is a guy who I seem to like better than the lines makers most of the time. There's no way I'm laying the $3 or whatever here on the Dodgers, but Ohtani's been basically unhittable when he's not batting. So maybe a team total under for Miami, something to that effect. He's going to go 6 innings, as we've talked about that in the past. And say what you want about the bullpen, they do have quality arms there. They're just not always pitching well at the same time. So maybe at Miami team total under, something to that range if I had to play that one. I will. One of the games we didn't talk about was Soriano against Martin. The Angels and the White Sox, 2 teams with starters right now that are blowing everybody away. Soriano is the front runner for the Cy Young, and Martin is a guy who I didn't expect a lot out of. He's been the best pitcher on this White Sox team, no doubt. So it'll be interesting to see if that continues on in this game here. I don't have anything on it at the moment.
I want to stay on Ohtani for 1 second and go to Tokyo Brain, because you've made the point that he wants to win the Cy Young. He's clearly. I wonder, because here's my thing. I didn't know if he would end up with enough innings to win the Cy Young, right? Like, there's no question that his performances, his 0.38 ERA and 0.75 WHIP are Cy Young worthy. I was just worried about him, sort of meeting the innings requirement over the course of the season, because I didn't think it was in the Dodgers' best interest to let him pitch that many innings during the course of the season. But do you think that he's gone to them and said, hey, like, this is my goal for this year? Do you think they want to keep him happy? And if it's like, if his goal is to win the Cy Young, it's like, hey, maybe that's not the best interest of the Dodgers, but we're still the Dodgers. Like, let's let him do, he's earned the right to do that if he wants to do that. And is there any bet, like, would you bet that right now? I don't know what the odds are, but I do think it was like playable at one point.
Yeah, basically he said before the season goes, because they use a 6-man rotation, he's going to have to go at least 6 innings and probably a little bit longer a couple of times to be able to get there. So that's what they'd said before the season started.
TB, what about like the outs over because of that? Would you just keep taking Ohtani outs over?
I already checked his outs over. It's over 18.5, which is, 17.5, which means will he finish 6 innings? I think we all agree he probably will. But the odds were minus 185 or something like that for it. So, but I think it's still a good bet because juice is free if you win, like I always say. I wouldn't put, a dime on it, but I'd put $100 on it. Why not? I mean, he's probably going to finish 6 innings here. And to your point, by the way, I have a signed Ohtani ball that I got at spring training when he played for the Ham Fighters out here.
Save that.
Yeah, I've got 3 jersey cards, 1 signed ball, and 36 of his rookie cards. 15 of them Japanese and 16 of them American. So anyways, so I got a lot of Ohtani stuff. So yeah, I did meet him once. Yeah.
I don't see any way he doesn't go 6 innings here. He's gone 6 innings exactly in every start. Do we think at home he's not going to be able to go 6 against the Marlins? Like, I mean, I like this Marlins team. They're
like I said, some people say I'm not betting minus 180. Why not? If it's free, it's free,
Why is it not more? Why is that like not minus 300? That's what I don't get.
It was minus 185 or something when I saw it. Maybe it's changed, but yeah. And to address your point, yeah, he's earned the right to do whatever he wants. He's the best player to ever play the game, in my opinion. And the Dodgers have proven time and time again they don't give a rip about the regular season. They don't care. They know they're going to make the playoffs. They generally just, wank it around until, the end of the season comes around and, oh, we might lose the division to the Padres. Okay, now we'll start playing is kind of how the Dodgers go every single year. So, yeah, if they win the division, they're happy. So the last month of the season, they'll probably put their foot to the metal, pedal to the metal, and start grinding out some wins if the Padres are nipping at their heels. And the Padres, man, what are they, 19-8? The Padres are looking pretty darn good. So the Dodgers better win some games here. But regarding this one, I think that's precisely why he's not batting when he's pitching, because he told them, I want the Cy Young Award. I want it. Last year he batted when he pitched, and with the Angels he always batted when he pitched. In Japan he always batted when he pitched. So yeah, it's different. So I think that's so he can focus on pitching during the game. He doesn't have to take his equipment off and put his equipment on and stuff like that. So he can just focus. And 6 innings, I think, is there's no lock in sports betting, but it's pretty darn close to a lock. He's going to finish 6 innings, right? 7 strikeouts seems a little high for me. 6.5. I wouldn't bet that, but I certainly would bet his innings. And I think the Dodgers just crush Miami here. I think first 5 minus the half run, full game minus the 2 even. Yeah, I don't see the Dodgers getting stopped here, especially after that crushing loss yesterday.
I mean, Steve Duke says Miami may hit Ohtani, but that doesn't even matter. I mean, the Giants had 5 hits and he still went 6 innings against them. Like the Marlins, yes, and Sean says they have some scrappy young hitters that make contact, but collectively the lineup is still going to be very much overmatched. Like the Marlins lineup is still overmatched against really good pitching. I don't see how he doesn't go 6 innings here. That would be shocking to me if he can't make it 6 innings. So if you're getting over 17 and a half outs at minus 180, like I don't mind finding a way to play that somehow. That's it should be big in my opinion.
Totally agree. And maybe I'll break out my signed Ohtani ball and show it to you guys next show. I got it up here in my closet. It's inside 2 different boxes. So, Brian, do you disagree with anything I said about Ohtani?
You may get us kicked off the site showing off your balls. By the way,
good one.
But I will point out, and talking to Brandon and I have these disagreements. He thinks it's free money when there's no such thing as free money. There's a reason why it's $3, and most professional bettors don't play it unless they think it's $4 is what it should be. So they will play it. But yeah, you always got to pay attention to what the line is on the game, even if you think you're going to win. Yeah, if you bet the highest spread on every game, every day, you're going to be broke by the end of the season.
Bryan Leonard, we have to get one more in before we go. So we got to go a couple minutes over today because I said that I would bring up the Mets and I haven't done it yet. I said yesterday, we'll talk about it today. You want to talk about you're having to lay juice. This might be the other end of the spectrum. Who in their right mind is laying that price with the Mets right now? Not saying it's going to win or lose, but who would do that? Why would you lay that price with the Mets in this spot tonight against the Nationals team that can hit? Mets Nationals to you.
I don't want the Mets. Anybody who scores 1 run in a doubleheader against the Colorado Rockies pitching staff, I'm done with the Mets for now. Now maybe later on in the season there's value, but there's no way in hell I'm betting that.
Yeah, so Tokyo Brandon, I took it on the chin on Twitter on Sunday. I did come back in game 2 with the Mets and lay minus 160 against the Rockies, but I had my reasons for doing that. The Rockies were running out of bullpen arms. The Rockies have blown big leads. Thursday, they blew a huge lead without some of those bullpen arms. And it was the second leg of a doubleheader in which in the first game, they lost a close game and the Rockies used more of their bullpen. So I had my reasons for that. I can't see why I would lay more than that here to back the Mets against a Nationals team that's arguably even better. So Mets Nationals to you. And is your over in play that you've liked so much this year with the Nats?
Yeah, maybe Boston's front office can do the Mets a favor and fire all of them too. Man, they look like garbage. They look like absolute hot trash garbage. That whole team, they're not into the game. They're just horrible. So now that I'm bad mouthing them, maybe they'll pull a Brewers 2025. We'll see. But I like. Bullpen wise, Washington's bullpen is horrible. They're almost as bad as the Angels. And did you see the Angels give up a 7-burger last night to the White Sox? Wow. But yeah, the Mets have the bullpen advantage here, and they also have the starting pitcher advantage. So I can't see the Mets losing this game, but I didn't see them losing 3 straight to Colorado either. So only the Mets can do what we cannot foresee. So I'm not going to bet it, but if I don't like the phrase gun to my head, but if that was the situation, I would bet the Mets today.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet it either, but if I was absolutely forced, I think I would take Nats plus 1.5 and hope and just see if they can, if the Mets win, maybe if they squeak one out and it's a closer game. I just can't justify laying that price with the Mets when they were in my opinion, a better spot to win at a better price. I don't know. I can't. Brian's going to say something like, why are the books taxing you so much to play the Mets here? I don't understand.
I was thinking if the Mets fall behind early, you're getting the team with the lead, and I don't trust the Mets to be in comeback mode. They haven't come back all season long, so. Maybe if the away team takes a quick lead, then you're not going to get as much of a payback. But
if you're still going to even
behind, punching themselves again, right?
Yeah, you might still get, Mets fall behind early. You may still get even money on the Nats with a lead. That's that's an interesting point right there.
And
Very
again, you got
interesting.
the Nats bullpen coming up. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
All right, we are at the end of the show. We've got 3 sides. Brian, what was your price on the Braves?
The Braves right now are anywhere from minus 117 to minus 125. So let's go 120. There's plenty of 120.
All right. So, yep. So we're going to go just real simple today. 3 full game sides. We've got the Cubs minus 120. We get the Braves minus 120. And we've got the Orioles minus 140. Obviously, shop around. Those could be off by 5 cents here and there. But that is the 3-teamer today. Cubs minus 120 for me. Braves minus 120 for Brian. Orioles minus 120 or minus 140 for Tokyo Brandon. It's $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk. All of us will have a $5 play up on the site. So check that out. And of course, make sure you're back here with us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern for more Total Bases. We'll see you guys then.